So first of all, we are going to install JDK, that is your Java Development Kit. Browser acts as an environment to run the HTML code. Similarly, for Java, there should be an environment present which will help us to actually run the Java code. There should be an environment which should understand what this code is trying to say. So for that, JRE is used. Now, IntelliJ is simple, that it is used in order to actually code the program. So for example, we have Sublime. Similarly, we have IntelliJ for Java. So we can either use Eclipse, NetBeans. There are many softwares which are present, but IntelliJ is the most popular among all, right? Now, what we are going to do is we are going to install the latest version of JDK and JRE, and then we are going to install the latest version of IntelliJ, right? So our first task is to see if JDK and JRE are already installed, right? So for that, just open CMD, run a command, Java version. This is dash dash. I don't know, it is changing to somehow this. So this is version. There is no space between this two. And then run a command javac, right? So for example, I'll open my terminal, right? So here I'm going to run a command java version. Unrecognized command. Okay, there is no dash. Okay, so there are no double dash. So you have to just simply run the command java space dash version, and it will give you the version which is installed in your machine. If it is there, if it's not there, it will say not recognized command. And if it is working fine, then you have to run a command javac. And if it gives you this particular code, it means everything is fine with the perspective of Java, right? So quickly, everyone, first of all, see if Java is already installed on your machines or not. How to install IntelliJ, right? So for IntelliJ, please raise your hands again if IntelliJ is already installed on your machines. Okay, so today we are going to simply see how to create a Java file and how to write your first hello world program in Java, right? So our main target is just to print hello world in console. So we are going to write the code and the program output should be hello world, right? So I'm going to share my screen and show you from start how to do that using your IntelliJ editor, right? So in your IntelliJ, for me, it is Java training already, a project is created. But for you, if you're opening IntelliJ, you can create your project from here. So file, new project, right? You have to just click on next. Next, name of your project. Let's say, I will simply say Java training batch 1, all right? So this is your project name, right? And I can open it in new window or this window. So I'm going to say this window only. So from here, you can see a Java training batch 1 project is created. So project is nothing but the combination of multiple Java files. So for example, consider in HTML, you have multiple pages, right? So you have written multiple HTML files. So if I combine those HTML files, I'll call that one project, right? So similarly in Java, you have to first of all create a project, right? And in that project, you will create your Java files, all right? So there is one SRC folder, as you guys can see. This SRC stands for source code. Inside this SRC folder, you create your Java files. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes.
right? So the first thumb rule is Java is a case sensitive language. What do I mean by case sensitive language? Case sensitive language means a capital A and a small a are two different things in Java. Means if I say Shaleen with a capital S and Shaleen with a small s, that are two different things, totally different things, right? So please notice where I'm using a capital letter, where I'm using a small letter. It's very much part of your syntax, right? So inside this source folder, I will create my first Java file, right? So as HTML has .html extension, your Java file has .java extension. So just right click on it, right? Go to new, simply say Java class, right? And here write the name of your class. Let's say my first class is main, right? So this is my first class name, right? So public class main and the opening curly brace and the closing curly brace. This is like a gate opening and a gate closing of a class. And this is your class name. Now here inside your source folder, you can see a main file is created. Does it make sense, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now what we are going to do is we are going to simply write a main method. We will talk about what this public is, what does this class means, what is this public static void mean. Everything we are going to discuss as we progress with each and every topic. But as of now, you have to simply copy it. Right? So what I've done, I've created a main class, and inside this main class, I have created a main method. So in Java, everything happens inside your main method of a class, right? So you can have multiple classes, like you have multiple HTML pages, and say as if we compare it with HTML, you have body, right? So in Java, you have main method, right? Inside this main, you can, whatever you are going to write will be executed. Okay. So every class has a main method. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply print system.out.println. Hello world. Right? So this is what I'm trying to print on my console. Means this should be the output of my program. Now let's run this program. So in order to run this program, just double click on the file you have created and simply say run main.main. Now you can see the output is hello world. Right? So this is your first program in Java. Now I want everyone to create this program in your systems. Create a project, right? Then create a file and then simply write, create a main method and simply print hello world. Anyone would like to share the screen?
Yes, I want to share my screen, please.
So there is an error in your program. Can you check what's the error? So you have not opened the gate of your main method. So there should be an open curly brace after your main method. So in line number 2, yes, right? Now press Control S. Yeah, now you can run your program. So there is written run hello main with, right? You can see hello class is printed.
Okay, Taloy sir, but I think No worries, just share it. Don't think.
Okay. Maybe I have some problems, Shalin sir.
That's where we like it.
What you have done, you have to say public static void main.
Void main.
All right. And your hello world should be in double quotes, right?
Uh-huh.
Now you can run your program. Never use Java as a name of the file. It's not, Java is the language. Can you say HTML.html? Does it make sense? Tell me.
Okay, sir. I say I have some problems.
No, I'm just see. It's one thing to write code. It's another thing to write code with best practices. So this is not wrong when you say java.java. Technically, it is right. But here, I'm just pointing out the best practices.
Got it, sir.
Shalin, the rule is this, like you can ask any of us, right? Except for now, we got Mr. Anwari and Kabir Ghafouri. They are having trouble. The rest we will need to share. There is no excuse.
Yeah, I think I get it. Okay, that's great. That's great. What we are going to talk about, we are going to talk about different aspects related to Java, right? How Java came into the picture, right? So before jumping into Java, let's see what's your program is, right? So whenever I use the word program, I use the word code, right? So all that means one simple thing, that I'm writing set of instructions, and when I'm executing that instructions, it should give me certain output. So for example, here in my IntelliJ, what I have written some instructions, that system.out.println hello world means I'm trying to print an hello world on my screens, right? So a set of instructions grouped together so that it can produce some valuable output, a sensible output, that is called as program. So here you can say it is your main program. Generally, a program is referred by the name of the file, right? So for example, you have written project.html, right? So here you can say project.html is your program, right? So a program is a set of instructions which are grouped together to produce a certain output, right? Make sense? Let's keep it interactive, guys. Okay. Now, history of Java. So Java is one of the programming languages which was introduced in 1991 by Sun Microsystems. Now, this is basically acquired by Oracle. So Oracle is now doing the development and enhancing the versions of Java. But initially, it was developed by Sun Microsystems in 1991. Right. So it was basically developed by a developer called as James Gosling, and it was originally called as Oak, right? Though that's a very interesting story why it was called Oak. Oak basically is because it was developed near the tree called as oak in United States, right? So James Gosling introduced this programming language in 1991, and then basically it was inspired by from your C++ language, right? So C++ is also your object-oriented programming language. There are several different type of programming languages. One is mainly there are two. One is functional, another one is object-oriented. We will get into details of functional and object-oriented when we will cover some of the topics of Java. It would make more sense then, right? So Java was really inspired by C++, which is again one of the object-oriented programming language, right? And the another good point of Java is that it introduced the principle of multi-threading, right? So what multi-threading is? you can perform several tasks at one given point of time. For example, if you see this Zoom application, right? So this Zoom application is performing multiple tasks, right? It is able to share the screen, and it is also able to communicate my voice to you guys, right? So performing two different tasks at the same time is called as multi-threading, right? So multi-threading helps us to create two independent threads to perform different tasks, and in order to save time and improve the performance, right? Now Java is again divided into two parts. One is your core Java, another one is your advanced Java. So core Java is nothing but the very basics of Java. So for example, how to write simple program, how to add two numbers, how to basically perform a task again and again. That means how to perform a task in a loop, how to use loops, how to use if else, means how to perform the conditional operators, how to connect to a database, how to store large amount of data into a single unit, right? So all these things are part of your core Java. Now what are advanced Java? So as we have seen that there is an HTML language, right? So HTML is basically responsible for writing your web page application, right? So for creating your simple web page, then CSS is helping us to introduce the styling onto the web page. But we have seen on Thursday that there is something called as Bootstrap. Now Bootstrap is one library which helps us in designing the web pages in a much efficient manner, right? Similarly, what happens in Java, in part of advanced Java, they have introduced some of the advanced concepts which really helps us as a library, as an external libraries, to develop the complex functionalities. So for example, we have servlets. Servlets are nothing but a means to take the data from your front end, right? So you have created a form, and sometime back we were talking about submit action, right? So what does submit do? Submit takes your form data and send it to the backend of your code, right? So in your backends there are servlet returns which helps us to catch that data, right? So that comes your in advanced Java. And then there is JSPs. JSPs are nothing but your HTML pages which can understand your Java language, right? So if let's say I say you can write a HTML page, and inside your HTML page you can write your Java code, right? That's nothing but your JSPs, right? Then you can go through how to connect to a database and everything. That's part of your advanced Java. So basically for few weeks we are going to target your core Java, and then after that we are going to start with advanced Java. Advanced Java is basically used in the industry, and it is used to develop the real applications which are based on Java backend technology, right? So these are some of the features of Java. And if I talk about as we have seen that this is a simple language, means everything is a part of a class. There is one file and the code goes inside that file. Syntax is very simple, right? So object oriented we will talk about in future once we will understand few concepts. Robust, secure, platform independent. So platform independent is one of the important point. Why Java is called as platform independent? Why? This is one of the reason why Java is popular. So let's say I'm working on a Mac machine, right? And many of guys are working on Windows machine, right? And some of the people must be working on Linux operating system, right? So there are different kinds of operating systems, and everyone has a choice to work on different set of operating systems, right? Now let's say I have developed one file called as main.java, right? So in that main.java, that main.java was made on Mac OS, right? So can I execute this main.java on a different operating system? Yes, I can do that. So that makes my Java as platform independent. Means you can write your code in any of your operating system, and then you can execute the same code on different operating system, well, in any of the operating system. So that was not feasible in other programming languages, and this is the one of the main reason why Java was very popular. Performance, So as I told you, it is platform independent. It also gives you an advantage of performance, right? So in Java, your memory is divided into multiple parts, right? So we have a separate section of of the memories. We have a heap memory, we have a string literals memory. So we will come to a point where we can discuss about how your JVM really performs. JVM is present in your JDKs, right? So JVM is Java Virtual Machine is basically responsible for for your everything which happens in Java, right? So your JVM is structured in such a way that it gives you a very efficient execution of any code, right? So if you're writing code, it will give you a very efficient execution because it is creating memory in such a way that your space is not wasted. Another one thing is that garbage collection, right? So garbage collection is inbuilt in Java. Let's say you have created 10 of the variables, and some of the variables are not used, right? So you don't have to clear the memory out. For example, you have installed 10 applications in your machine, right? Now your machine is hanging. So what do? You just go and uninstall some of the applications which are not used. But in case of Java, all these things happens by itself. So you really don't have to worry about the performance. There is a garbage collection which runs in the backend, which helps us to clear the garbage out of your programs and helps us in improving the performance of your program. Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah, only that JVM. If you can just shed a light on JVM, what is JVM?
JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. So JVM is actually a place where your Java code is executed, right? If I compare it with HTML, so HTML actually runs on your browser, right?
Yes.
Similarly, Java code actually runs on your JVM, that is Java Virtual Machines.
It's inside our local, you mean?
It's inside your JDK packages, which
Okay.
we have installed.
Okay, great.
Right? So we have discussed about Java and all. And why to use Java? As we have discussed that the basic reason why Java was popular is because platform independent. We can use Java on any platform. We can write the code once and we can execute on different platforms. It is simple, easy to learn. It is open source and free. That is another reason. You can execute. You don't have to pay for learn to Java, or you don't have to pay to develop the code in Java. There are a few things which are licensed. For example, C Sharp. C Sharp is licensed. You have to pay to actually use it in your corporate world. Right?
Shalin, one more thing. Beside all these garbage collection issues and performance independent stuff, I've seen multi-threaded, right? So
yes,
can you shed light on multi-threaded?
Multi-threading, as I told you, to perform multiple tasks at the same time, right? So there would be a topic where we will see how to perform multiple tasks in Java. So for example, currently I'm writing hello world, simply hello world. It is doing one operation at a time. It is printing hello world in my console. But what if I say just print hello world and do something else as well? Right? So you can write your programs in order to perform multiple tasks at the same time.
Yeah, so there was another example as well with it. For instance, we have the Amazon website, right? There is client, there are these stores where they are pushing their data. There are lots of things parallelly happening. Or we can give an example of a game where we got, for instance, 50 users that are connecting at the same time. And let's say they are playing all together online, right? So the bullet that comes, everyone is performing an activity at the same time. One is hiding, one is jumping, one is shooting with the gun. So that could be another example of having multi-threading, right?
That makes sense. Yes.
And same with the browsers, right? We are in our local, we are opening at the same time Word, Microsoft Word, the browser, Google is open, for instance, another browser, few browsers are open. We are playing, for instance, YouTube as well, checking our email. So these are all, you mean multi-threaded issues or what?
Yes. So anything which can be performed parallelly is referred to as multitasking. Now, multitasking is multi-threading is a way to achieve multitasking in your Java, right? So there is a very huge topic which we are going to talk about, how to create your multiple threads in Java.
Yeah, that's
right.
What, yeah.
And
great.
Another reason why Java was popular is because object-oriented language means it gives a structure to your programs and it is based on your classes and object. Means everything in Java is inside a class. So if I talk about this simple program I've created, here you can see I've created a class main, right? So everything is inside this main class. Means there is a boundary of this main class, and I'm going to write everything inside this main class. Then inside this main class, I have created one main method. Main method again has one boundary, and then I'm writing everything inside your main method. Means there is a structure defined and we have to blindly follow that structure. And as I told you, Java is a case sensitive language. Means class with small c and class with capital C are two different things. Now you can see it is giving me the errors. The reason is Java does not understand a class with capital C. It only understands class with small c. Right? So you have to really focus that where am I using a small case and where am I using a capital case.
HTML was syntax friendly.
Yeah, you can say that. It generally doesn't break your syntax if you make little mistakes. But in Java, a simple semicolon mistake can cost you the whole program. Means if I don't put this semicolon right, my program will never be executed. So very syntax oriented. One simple semicolon issue will cost your program. If I don't put this double quote, it will not execute. So everything is very important. Syntax is very important in Java.
So are there a way to memorize all these syntaxes?
Practice.
Okay. Yeah, well, like if you can provide us, like for instance, a list meanwhile we are practicing. So when
no, there is no particular list. As we will go, I don't think so there is any documented list where we can just go and learn. So it's just how much code we are writing.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't expect everyone to memorize the syntax in the first class. Just see the syntax, copy the syntax. Always try to write syntax, don't copy paste it.